verse that we're adding. And we're actually going to be working on several recall exercises because we've covered quite a bit of vocabulary. Just take a closer look at some of these are six of the last chapters that we've actually worked on, and we've put together a recall cheat sheet because we've gotten requests. We've covered so much vocabulary, and the vocabulary is increasing in difficulty. So, if you recall, we mentioned that one of the best ways to actually increase your retention of these vocabulary terms, which we anticipate will appear on standardized exams at some point, is to look at sentences as well as passages and also we have our synonym matching exercises. If we take a look here, we're actually looking at Volume 1, Chapter 7 through Volume 2, Chapter 2. And we see that these are the 12 words that we studied and presented a sample sentence. So you can actually see in the brown, which are cue words from each sample sentence. Now the brain, based on all of the different recall methodologies and different types of memory tricks, our brain does really well with remembering stories behind, whether it's an item or a story of a word or a story, just a plain story. We do really well as far as brain mapping to stories. So we actually put keywords in the lower left and the lower right for each sample sentence that we refer to. So give you an example, conciliate. We in our sample sentence we talked about the president making a conciliatory speech. Conciliate, and then if you look at the word, let's say fawning. Fawning is a very unique word. If you have trouble remembering it, all you have to do is zoom back to the sample sentence, two keywords or facts, and get promoted. If you recall from the sample sentence in Volume 1, Chapter 7, the sentence alluded to the fact that facts were given to the point where you were fawning to try and get promoted, meaning over accentuating facts or just going above and beyond the actual facts in order to try and get promoted. Take another look. Hedonist. Sample sentence had to do with the treatment of women, so we do see that that is actually a negative connotation. We could take a closer look at the word trite. Keywords, quality, and the play script. If you recall, the sample sentence had to do with the quality of the script was poor, and it alluded to the fact that they wanted a refund. Voracious, hot dog contest, cues from the sample sentence, and voracious means excessive exhibition. So there we have cues from the actual sample sentence, and we could go on and on with each chapter. So if you really want to remember, if you really want your brain to tie in the word to actually remember, you can actually use each of these words with their cues from the sample sentence. Give you another example: ameliorate, ameliorate. It's been some time since we did chapter 1, chapter 9, volume 1, chapter 9. So, ameliorate, the cue was green tea and anxiety. So, if we recall from the sample sentence, we remember the sample sentence creating a storyline that green tea helps to ameliorate anxiety, or is believed to help ameliorate, which is to improve or make better. Another one would be let's see, um, proximity. If you recall from the sample sentence suggested that residents in the neighborhood were unaware that there were actual sex predators living among them in close proximity. So that gives you an idea of how the word is used and in what context. We can simply keep going down and looking at the keywords to see if we can recall the sentence. Transitory, relocate, new state. And if you recall, Sampson's sentence had to do with relocating to a new state. Let's see, another one that would be a little bit off the off the cuff as far as memory would be. Um, let's see, Imbue. That had to do with marinate and the meat, and in this case, it means to infuse. So as you go through this exercise, if you're unclear of exactly what the word means, you can always go back to the sample sentence in the respective volume and chapter, and that will allow you to remember. Let's take another look at another one. Bad weather and dissipate, ephemeral, and that has to do with fleeting. So the bad weather, we anticipated that that would dissipate pretty quickly. Another one would be indigence. If you recall, the sample sentence had to do with poverty in South Africa as far as indigents were concerned. And let's take a look at another one. Declivity. Declivity had to do with the rapid decline. So we had a sample sentence that had to do with um, poverty and its stance in the Caribbean and the declivity of society in the region. So, and then a harder one that may be a little bit harder to remember is cacophony. And we see that the key words were whining and dogfight. And if you recall, that's a noun, and had to be that related to the screeching and the screaming that was actually heard during the dogfight, where they were trying to pull away the dogs at a park. So that is how we use cues to actually try and remember the meaning of the word. So we go on to our synonym exercises. We can quickly refresh also. This is more of a refresh chapter. We are going to be adding 12 new words, but we have been adding vocabulary so quickly. So we see here fawning, we did mention that, manipulating, hedonist, synonym, sensualist. Let's see, trite, banal, voracious, gluttonous, that had to do with a hot dog exercise, hot dog contest. If we go on to the synonym matching exercise, let's see if there are any words that we mentioned here. Pariah, we know that was to reject. Vilify is to defame. Delectarius had to do with pernicious, pernicious, um, pernicious, and then we have devious, which is dishonest, and affable, which is approachable. If we go to there we have ameliorate, which is to improve, and we had also obsequious, which was obedient. We did talk about proximity, so that has to do with nearness as a synonym. That was from Volume 1, Chapter 9. And let's see, transitory, and that had to do with fleeting. So you can actually use the synonyms coupled with the sample sentence to get a better picture as far as what the word actually is used in, and it's in context. Volume 1, Chapter 10, let's see if there are any words here that we were pointing to on that recall sheet. No. And let's see. If you recall, beneficent had to do with charitable. Ephemeral had to do with fleeting. Coagulate, we used a reference in a sample sentence when snake venom was added to blood and it started to have a reaction and it started to thicken. Indigence, which was related to the sample sentence of South African poverty, which is poor. And let's see, for our synonym matching for Volume 2, Chapter 2, we see that we have declivity, and that has to do with deterioration. Our sample sentence was referencing to the Caribbean and poverty and the deterioration of the economy. And then we have stasis, which is balance. So that is actually taking a closer look at some of the recall exercises that we can do if you're really serious on holding on to all of this vocabulary that we're actually working on. The best thing for you to do is to use a recall cheat sheet. We will present this periodically, and it will cover 6 chapters as we move through to more vocabulary. And then also you'll also receive a synonym exercise matching, and that will help you to also increase your recall powers. So coupled with the sample sentences and coupled with cues, you'll be able to quickly scan this cheat sheet in a study session, and then that will help you to increase your retention. Um, if you Sometimes you may remember the word and its definition, or you may remember the cues from the sample sentence. So let's take a closer look at some of the words we're working on today: catalyst, conundrum, disquieting, endemic, juncture, oblique, perfunctory, presumptive, as well as surfeit. And let's take a closer look at some of the definitions with their sample sentences. Catalyst, sample sentence: when Jerry joined the company, the CEO promoted him quickly so that he will be a catalyst of change for the company's sales force. And then we have conundrum, sample sentence: Nancy Drew mystery series of books was known for wild enigmas and conundrums in the plots which contributed to their worldwide popularity. And then we have disquieting, sample sentence: many Americans, found the act of voting very disquieting due to the racism and political divisiveness of the 2020 presidential election. And then we can take a look at dither. Dither, the young couple was dithering during the traffic stop as the driver was fearful that the state police would discover the cocaine in his car's glove compartment. Noun meaning state of fear. And we have endemic, sample sentence: the virus was believed to originate in a rural farmland area of Asia and endemic to the bat population in China. Just as a sample example sentence. Adjective meaning local or native. And then we have frenetic, sample sentence: the club kids of Miami are believed to worship the frenetic lifestyle that is responsible for their demise. Adjective meaning excited. And then our next set is juncture, lurid, as well as oblique. And we can take a quick look at their definitions. Juncture: the mask mandate issued by the president marked a critical juncture in the battle against the epidemic, and that points to a specific point in time. Lurid, sample sentence: the news report featuring the college student's murder was so lurid that viewer discretion was advised, especially with respect to children, meaning very vivid or very graphic. Lurid. Oblique, sample sentence: several news outlets have reported that the authorities received so many oblique crime tips that they foiled their investigation, meaning oblique, misleading crime tips ultimately foiled or was misleading and led to faulty investigation. And then we take a look at perfunctory, sample sentence: the sheriff complained about the perfunctory job completed by the scuba divers who attempted to find the murder weapon in the swamp, meaning superficial or substandard. And we have presumptive: Joshua is generally a calm guy, however, he tends to be presumptive when it comes to his friends always borrowing his money, making an assumption. Adjective. And then we have surfeit, and sample sentence there: the hospital administrator complained about the surfeit. The pronunciation is surfeit. The hospital administrator complained about the surfeit of faulty PPP equipment with foreign certifications. In this case, a good thing to remember here would be surfeit would be overindulgent, and the point of the sample sentence has to do with speculation as far as faulty foreign certifications that may allude to poor safety of the staff as a result of faulty PPP equipment. So that is what the sample sentence is suggesting. So there we have 12 new words. Once again, let's just take a quick look at that recall cheat sheet. You can actually do a screenshot. It's good for you to actually try and go back to the previous chapters, memorize the sample sentence, and actually to study how the word is actually used in what context, so that when you actually pull out this recall cheat sheet periodically, and we'll have a lot more of these cheat sheets, because as we get further and further into our vocabulary study and start recalling more of English comprehension, we'll start doing a lot more English comprehension and throwing in a lot of these words into the mix. Then you'll be able to super increase your recall ability, and at the same time increase your comprehension, your ability to comprehend, and your listening and writing skills will dramatically improve as your vocabulary expands. You understand how the words are used in context, because it just makes sense from the sample sentence. And you'll also remember, of course, their synonyms too. So you'll also have a synonym exercise answer sheet that will allow you to identify the word to its closest synonym. So we do hope that these exercises are helping you to expand your vocabulary. Of course, we're trying to make our way through to what we believe will be 500 or 600 of the most common words that will appear on standardized exams. And if you understand their tricky synonyms, coupled with using the different recall techniques to really advance your memory, we believe that your vocabulary is going to be significantly improved, and your reading and comprehension skills will also be improved. Listening, writing overall, everything overall will improve as you start using more of these recall cheat sheets and going back to your synonym exercise answer sheets to keep recalling the use of the word and its closest synonym. So we do hope that this is really helping you to advance your vocabulary. We periodically recap English grammar rules, and we do more of the synonym matching exercises and provide you with a template for the answers. And then we also, as we get further and build our vocabulary, you'll see more reading comprehension exercises where you'll have a passage, and you need to be able to really have a good understanding of what the passage is actually trying to say and the point it's trying to get across, because questions will be asked of you on these standardized exams as far as the meaning of passages or the words, meaning of certain words in those passages. Well, we hope this served you well. This is Bone News Network with our Perfect English Grammar series. This is Volume 2, Chapter 5. And we hope that you have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. And you can always refresh, as we mentioned. This is going to be very, very important for your advancement as far as a vocabulary recall cheat sheet. This is a very, very powerful exercise that uses the cues from sample sentences that we present. If you're curious, these are what the sample sentences are going to look like when you go back to refresh your memory on any of our previous chapters. So we do hope that this is serving you well, and you feel as if you're really taking away and really advancing your vocabulary. By all means, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you're new to this channel, everything starts with Volume 1, Chapter 1, and you'll be able to get caught up to where we are now as far as our vocabulary and expanding your vocabulary. And we hope that these lessons are really helping you to advance your your techniques as far as comprehension, recall of vocabulary, with our recall cheat sheets and our synonym exercises. And we hope that this is all helping you to become more of a more powerful writer, as well as increasing your listening comprehension, and being more, just generally being more aware of words that you may hear floating around either in corporate office setting or school setting, or as you prepare for your exams. Well, we hope you have a good day. Thank you for watching Bound News Network.